Welcome back to the last part 4 of talking about irrational equations, and in this here video we are going to start with the third root. Now, when we talk about third root, when we want to solve things using the third root, or when we want to calculate using the third root, it is easier in a sense considering or comparing it to second root. Second root is really specific considering that we are only working with positive numbers or zero. With the third root, all numbers are okay. Everything checks out. There are no issues, no conditions basically. And in that sense, it is easier. Now, if I want to define the third root of a number, I'm going to define it as this is a third root of number a, or to the power of 3, it is going to be number a, meaning a is third root of a to the power of 3, or a to the power of 3 is third power or cube of number a. This is the definition part. Now, there are no major things, so I can look at it like this. I can also look at third root of a to the power of 3, and it is still a. No changes there. It's perfectly fine. Nothing special, unlike with the second root, where in this here case, we would second root of a, everything squared is going to be equal to absolute value of the x. So this is the difference, and this is easier part. But the issue is, how do we determine the third root without using the calculator? So let's look at the example of how we can determine, let's call it A, example A, how we can determine third root of number 216. Let's look at this here situation. Now, without using the calculator, it's not as easy. Using the calculator, you just put it in the calculator and it solves it for you, of course. Now, let's look at it. Let's look at the idea. So what I can do with 216, I have to figure out which three numbers, basically which number multiplied by itself 3 times is going to give us 216. And this is going to be the root. This is going to be the root of the number 216. Basically, it's third root. So I can do here and do the prime factorization, or rewrite it down using the primes. So, if you look at number 2, which is a prime number, and 2 times 108 is going to give me 216. I'm going to just point out that this is a prime. So, I can continue on. Still 2. This is the 108 is divisible by 2, so I'm going to write it down like this. 108 is then going to give us 54. 54 times 2 is going to be 108. I can still continue with 2. Oh, we already have 3's of number 2. So this is going to be 27. Now, it's going to be 3 times 9. 3 is a prime. 3, 3, and there we go. We got all the primes. 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. Oh, 2 and 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 3, 6, 6, 6. So 6 times 6 times 6 is going to give us 216, meaning that third root of 216 is equal to third root of 6 to the power of 3. I'm rewriting it using this here form, meaning that the third root of 216 is number 6. So this is how you can determine it. Simple enough. Shouldn't be that hard. So if you don't have calculator, you could use the primes and factorization using the primes to determine what it can be or what it should be rewritten as the power or index. So this was one of the examples. Let's look at another situation. Let's look at negative situation, simpler situation. So third root of minus 1000. Now what I want to show you here is, well, you should be able to determine what is the number to the power of 3 that gives us minus 1000 without using the primes. So it should be minus 10 to the power of 3, which is going to give us minus 10. Oh, look, now we're working with negative numbers. Everything checks out. Now you can also rewrite this down as at the beginning you can, so to say, put outside the minus of the root. So you're working with minus third root of 1000, which is going to be still minus 10, because 10 to the power of 3 is going to give you 1000. So there are two ways how you can look at it. I just wanted to show you this so you know there are no special issues or there is nothing we have to think about or watch out. Everything is okay. We don't have to worry about anything specific. Now let's go through the tasks. I'm going to go with task 1 since I'm going to use now third root as an example. And the equation, irrational equation, with the third root is going to be third root of 11x plus 15 equals to 3. Now, please, everyone, watch out. This is a third root. Here, in this here case, it's not necessary to think about conditions. Everything works. Every number is fine. Every type of the number we can work with. So watch out, look at the tasks given, look at what is given in those tasks, and then determine what is going on what you have to do or you do not have to do. So watch out for that. Now this here case, we can immediately go with the similar method that we did with the second root irrational equations, and that is if we isolate one of the roots, in this here case third root of blah blah blah, we can immediately use the opposite thing, and this is I'm going to use everything to the power of 3 or everything cubed. So left side is going to be 11x plus 15. Meantime, right side is 3 to the power of 3, which is 27. Simple enough. Minus 15. 11 is equal to 12. If I'm not mistaken, divide everything with 11. X is equal to 12 over 11. Done. Task is solved. The only difference now concerning this task that I can give you as another type of irrational equation is, for example, having third root plus something equals to 0 or minus something equals to something else, blah, 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 or even give you the x. Now, these tasks where you're given x outside of the root, specifically third root, I'm not going to bother with. They are too complicated. They are basically something that we work with in 4th grade and the end of it all. So let's leave it at that, even if you're going to get to that point then. So don't worry about that. This is the situation that you might be given. Now, one last task that I want to show you, or one more type of the irrational equation that I want to give you an example of, is what if we combine second and third root together. So let's look at the situation like this. Third root of 5 minus square root of x plus 3 is equal to 2. I'm going to use 2. Let's have here plus. No. Yeah, plus. Let's work it. 5 plus square root of x plus 3. So third root, second root. Now, before we solve this, we have to determine conditions. We have to talk about conditions. Why? Because we are working with the second root. So only this part is the important part we have to talk about. So the condition in this here task is going to be that x plus 3 has to be greater or equal to 0, meaning x plus x has to be greater or equal to minus 3. So watch out for that. And then if it checks out, everything is fine. Now, let's go through the solving part of this here task. Well, I already prepared everything. So everything to the power of 3 is going to be 5 plus square root of x plus 3 equals to 8. Now we got irrational equation just with the second root. Let's continue on. Subtract everything with 5. So square root of x plus 3 equals to 3. Left side is greater, right side is greater. Imagine if in this here task at the beginning, we work with a negative, or we worked with such a subtraction inside of the third root. Here would be a minus, here would be a minus, meaning, and still the right side is going to be a plus. Minus and a plus doesn't make sense. We would stop here, say x is element of empty set, meaning this equation doesn't have a solution. We're done. Now, this is why I've chosen to use the plus, so we actually work with something and we get the solution in this here case. Now, isolated square on one side, number on the other side, everything checks out. Let's square this. X plus 3 is equal to 9, subtract with 3, x is equal to 6. Does x fit the condition? The only condition in this here sense, yes. Now, and this is it. Now we are done. Now, one thing I want to make sure considering this here task. You may be given this task in any point. Like, it's okay, it works, we can work with it, don't worry about it. But important thing about this task is determining the number of conditions. A number of conditions you determine depending on how many second roots there are, basically. There are also some specific situations where, for example, you have square root on the left side, and on the right side you have x plus something. Then you have the root part of the condition, and what is that root equal to part of the condition, and then they have to be met. But we did it in past videos, so I'm not gonna go and dwell into that further. Now look at here. We are working with the third root, we are working with the second root. Only the second root is important for the condition. Third root, meaning this 5 plus square root of x plus 3, I don't care if it's a positive or negative number, because I can work with a positive and negative number inside of the root. Everything fits. Everything is okay considering the third root. So watch out for that. And this is the last type of the task that you can be given considering the irrational equations. So altogether, this gives us, I believe, 12 different equations that we can work with, 12 different situations. Watch out for these. I think they're not that hard, as long as you look at three things, meaning, is it worth solving it? Conditions, and the actual solution part. See you guys.